It's your time to shine. This is your moment. Seize it and own it.
You always do this to me,
right.
so I'm gonna throw it back at you. We have two choices here.
Dang
do you
it.
want to continue on the discussion with the NRA first with our goofy gun grabbers, or do you want to step over to Newtown and what they had to say recently in light of a tragedy?
Man, that's a tough choice. Corruption A or disgusting B. You know what? Let's put a nice pin in the NRA and be done with it.
Okay.
Let's check it off the box, and then we're going to get to the disgusting.
Okay, then that means we're going to jump over to number one, Doc, and this is what we have from Midway USA. Now, look, Midway is a pro-gun organization, presumably, but they have Larry Potterfield, the leader of Midway USA, if you will. He's supported the NRA through all of their scandals. He was out there supporting them when they were, issuing these, joint statements of, how machine guns are bad and bump stocks are bad and they need to be regulated. He's out there backing their play. It's amazing he's still in business, but the guy has always been an apologist and an enabler for the NRA and Wayne LaPierre. And even in Wayne's disgrace and his exit in disgrace, this is what old Larry Potterfield from Midway USA had to say on X. Brenda, his wife, and I congratulate Wayne LaPierre on his announced retirement as CEO and executive director of the National Rifle Association. Over the past 50 years, no one has accomplished more for the Second Amendment as has Wayne. And then they're holding some golden key. Maybe that's Wayne's jail cell. We don't know yet, but we
don't know yet. We'll find out.
We'll find out. But I mean, I can't stand Larry Potterfield is just an annoying looking creature. And the fact that he will not stop backing the NRA, no matter how corrupt they are, makes me wonder, because the NRA also, one of the things they were doing, like their board members all had businesses and they were all looped in somehow to grift off NRA and bolster their own businesses. Is that what Larry's doing? We don't know, right? Speculation here. But he has been on Wayne's pickle for a long time.
There it is. Not the ding dong. Not the ding.
So,
the people have been asking for a pickle and ding dong reference. They have. The people have been saying it in the comments. So there you go. Hopefully they were watching because Tim just slipped it in. See, now he starts it, and they're just.
But we're talking about the crispy, tasty treat, not any part of anatomy. So, but anyway,
of course, the cucumbers soaked in vinegar. Duh.
Exactly.
What were you thinking about? You need Jesus.
Do you like sweet pickles or dill pickles? Honest question. But anyway, we'll get into that later.
I feel uncomfortable.
So anyway, Larry, this dude has also maintained throughout all of this one. Everybody else was pulling their donate roundup to the NRA. Old Potterfield has stuck by it. And matter of fact, if you go over to his website right now, I can almost guarantee you when you try to check out with something, it's going to have the roundup for the NRA. They're going to try to get you to do it. This man is an enabler of a tyrant, and the man that did not do more for the Second Amendment. We have maintained our rights somehow, despite this man's efforts. So,
yes, it is a feat of engineering ourselves. Now, you know how I like to say, call it duck a duck. And by the way, I relish a good pickle. I thought of that when you were talking. I had to let it out. Anyway, so earlier on in the NRA, one of the things that they did do, and this is actually legitimately a positive, they came through and they did legislation in a lot of states, which is basically saying that cities and municipalities cannot make laws like gun control laws more stringent than state level.
Yeah, preemption laws.
Preemption. Thank you. I could not think of the word to save my life. But the preemption law, that was NRA driven in the 90s, and that went like almost everywhere, and that's been something that has held them back a lot. But pretty much since then, it's not been a cute look. And I Larry was, is that Larry? It's Larry Potterfield,
Larry
right?
Potterfield, yeah.
Yeah. Larry has been on my poo-poo list ever since I was a younger man, simply because his shipping is egregious.
Yeah.
So
I've always had a problem with Larry because of his undying, unfettered support of the wildly corrupt Wayne LaPierre.
Yeah. I didn't even get there because the shipping was so stupid. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like that's just disappointing.
Yep. So
I wasn't even emotionally invested. There we go.
So anyway, all right. So we're done with old Larry Potterfield. Let's jump over to Newtown. So this is number 2, Doc. So the good old folks over at Newtown had this to say. Now, that something happened on the 4th of January. Another tragedy took place in Iowa. It was another shooting, and one person died, several were injured. But the problem, apparently, folks, and we've pointed this out many times before, is that the wrong weapon was used, so the narrative is lost. And so it'll quickly drop.
Shift, right.
It'll quickly drop out of the headlines because it's not useful to the gun grabbers. The gun grabbers are excited by things that they can use to push their agenda forward.
Right.
So, and you might say, well, that's cynical of you, Tim. And oh my gosh, nobody's like that. No,
it's true. It's true.
And we have evidence, right? So here's some receipts, folks. Newtown posted this on the 4th, the same day. And after the shooting had taken place in Iowa, we were learning that it was a shotgun and a small caliber handgun. We still don't have the specifics, but what we do know, it was not an AR-15 or an assault weapon. But they were so excited. They're like, oh, school shooting. What do we got? Well, it looks like it might be a shotgun and a handgun. We got a call for an assault weapons ban. What happened? Looking through the history book, 2012. Let's bring up Newtown on January 4th.
Right.
And this is what they had to say. Right. Since 26 children and educators were hunted and gunned down by a 20-year-old gunman with an AR-15 at Sandy Hook Elementary School in 2012, we have sent a stark warning that no community is immune. It can happen anywhere and everywhere. Join us in our fight. A shooting impacts your lives. So, and then they call for an assault weapons ban. And look what's right down there. Police on massive response to Perry High School shooting. So they were aware.
Weird. So they did know.
They did know. And look, now either one of two things, I guess, a possibility here. They jumped the gun and just assumed an AR-15 would be found. But the same day,
no,
because this was posted at 8 p.m. on the 4th.
Yeah, that's
and the shooting took place in the morning. Right. And so the news was already breaking that I learned that day that it was most likely a shotgun and possibly a handgun. But
yeah, we were texting about it. So, after like around noon.
So they knew. They absolutely knew. And this is what they posted. This is disgusting at every level because this just proves that they dance on the graves of children and other victims to push their agenda forward. They were so desperate to make the point that they wanted an assault weapons ban and to bring up the AR-15, even when it's not applicable to the tragedy that's taking place right when they're posting. They're going to do it anyway.
Right. I mean,
sick SOBs.
And this is silly old boys, by the way, silly old boys. Yes. If you were wondering what that stood for. The thing that bothers me the most about this is it's 100% confirmed. Like if you full transparency, Tim and I kind of live in this world and we see this at a lot more frequency than people who don't live like every single day aren't following this stuff. But when you are as deep as a lot of us are, you see patterns that are extremely disturbing because legitimately the only reason we're even covering this portion is because this is actually true. I mean, this happens all the time. And if you're looking at exactly what Tim just said, big news coming out about a tragedy in Iowa. Don't mention any of the other details that could have been involved, what could have caused it that's in commonality with prior issues recently. Can't look at any of those things. Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, came out and said, quote, at 10 a.m., because I did a video on it, I've got timestamps on my channel. She said, assault weapons ban, no assault weapon was used here. Large capacity magazine ban, no large capacity magazines bans were used. Ethan's law, this kid didn't have a gun, so how could he safely storage it? Red flag law, couldn't buy a gun. What's the point there? Universal background checks, underage, couldn't buy it. The point is they just say things that they want on their checklist that have nothing to do with reality or what just occurred. And that's the messed up part.
Yeah.
It's just so gross because to your point, it's ugh.
Well, I mean, it's right there in their tweet. They had to invoke AR-15, right? They actually say AR-15 and they bring up Sandy Hook because apparently the Perry High School shooting wasn't devastating enough for their needs. So they had to invoke one where more people were injured and an AR-15 was used because that helps push the ball forward to take your rights away. That is pure disgusting.
At least their narrative.
What's that?
It is. No, or at least it reinforces that it takes away the punch of your narrative. So you got to bring something up that has punch for your narrative, to your point. And the fact that they put Perry High School in that tweet means they're fully aware of what they're texting about. They're just connecting two different things that are completely unrelated.
Yeah. I mean, in a backdoor kind of way, they're saying what happened in Iowa wasn't nasty enough. Take a look at what happened in 2012.
In a circumventing or in a circular way, that's exactly what's happening there. And that's the point of why we cover these things is we're not trying to pile on to either Newtown or K-12 database or Gun Violence Archive. We're trying to show you through examples and real life scenarios, these people are manipulating people through their desires, through false data, through manipulated sources, in order just to get a punch point to get you to vote or believe in their gun control, which is going to infringe upon your rights, which is wrong.
Yep.
It's just wrong.
Purely,
And that's why we highlight, that's why we cover these things.
purely designed to elicit an emotional response to get you to willingly surrender your rights. This is the tactic they've used my entire life. And it is disgusting. And that's why we want to point this out. You have to read between the lines when you look at these posts. It's easy to take a look at this and go, oh, they're just up to their old tricks again and scroll past it. But when you do a deep dive and look at what's driving this, it gets really disgusting. It becomes absolutely disgusting. And
it does. It's ugh.
And literally, I've said it before, these folks are literally sitting with documents in hand for all their planned agenda items, just waiting for the next tragedy so they can run out in front of the first camera they can find and say, hey, we got to ban this stuff. Look what just happened over here. It's been 6 minutes since we don't even know what really happened, but hey, we got to ban assault weapons. There wasn't one used. Well, look at what happened in 2012. I mean, disgusting human beings. And I use that term, that word human, rather loosely.
Well, I mean, it's a biological term.
Yeah.
Really, couldn't we say sentient clump of cells? Could we? I mean, that
means we could abort them.
That's the way it worked.
Maybe we should end there.
Ooh.
All right.
Too soon? Too soon?
All right, folks. All right. Thank you for watching Second Legacy, and we'll talk to you guys soon.